Every one of us, at some point, has felt the weight of self-doubt. Whether it's the nervous racing heart before a big presentation, the second guessing before speaking up in a meeting, or the uneasy knot in your stomach when approaching someone new, confidence can sometimes feel elusive. But what if there were timeless tools, tested over centuries, that could help bolster your inner strength, calm your anxieties, and guide you toward unwavering confidence? Enter Stoicism, a practical philosophy born in ancient Greece and refined by Roman thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Though centuries have passed, Stoicism's core teachings remain profoundly relevant, offering clear, actionable strategies you can apply today. What if you could tap into an ancient toolkit honed by philosophers who faced far greater uncertainties to transform that trembling edge into solid ground? What if the secret to unshakable self-belief lies not in flashy pep talks or overnight affirmations, but in time-tested mental disciplines that have guided emperors, statesmen, and thinkers for millennia? In this video, we'll dive into Stoicism's most powerful practices, revealing how each concept translates into concrete steps you can take today to silence self-doubt, harness inner calm, and stand with unwavering confidence. Stay with us until the end, and you'll walk away with a personalized daily ritual, your very own Stoic blueprint for mastering fear and stepping boldly into any challenge. 1. Understanding Stoicism and its core tenets. Stoicism originated in the early 3rd century BCE with Zeno of Citium, but its enduring power lies not in lofty abstract theories, but in practical steps that guide our inner lives. At its core stands a single, transformative principle: the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. This distinction forms the foundation of every Stoic practice, offering a clear roadmap for directing our energies toward genuine self-mastery, rather than fruitless worry. When we recognize that our thoughts, decisions, and reactions are fully within our power, we reclaim agency over our mental landscape. Conversely, when we accept that external events, other people's judgments, unexpected setbacks, or natural forces lie beyond our influence, we liberate ourselves from the anxiety of seeking to manipulate outcomes we cannot change. This dichotomy invites us to develop a rigorous inner discipline. We begin by observing our mental chatter, every fear, every desire, and every impulse, and asking, is this mine to govern? This simple inquiry transforms habitual distress into conscious choice. Where once we might have flinched at criticism or panicked at the prospect of failure, we learn instead to examine the thought with curiosity, to question its origin, and to choose a reasoned response. In this way, our emotional responses become guided by our principles rather than by fleeting circumstances. The Stoics further encourage us to cultivate an attitude of philosophical resilience. By committing to live virtuously, meeting each moment with honesty, courage, temperance, and wisdom, we build an internal fortress. Our confidence then springs from the knowledge that we have acted in alignment with our highest values, regardless of external applause or disdain. True tranquility arises when we direct our focus inward, tending to the garden of our character rather than chasing the unpredictable fruits of external success. As our mastery over inner judgments deepens, self-doubt and self-criticism lose their grip, replaced by a steady conviction in our ability to navigate life's challenges with clarity and composure. Through this unified perspective, Stoicism offers more than a philosophical framework. It provides a living, breathing guide to cultivating confidence from the inside out. By consistently practicing this distinction, we transform every thought and action into an opportunity to reinforce our inner strength, steadily forging a resilient mind that remains unshaken in the face of life's uncertainties. 2. Reframing fear through negative visualization. Negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, serves as a profound exercise in cultivating fearlessness. Rooted in the Stoic understanding that our anxieties often grow in the dark corners of the unknown, this practice invites us to illuminate potential adversities before they strike. By deliberately contemplating possible misfortunes, ranging from everyday disappointments to significant upheavals, we train our minds to confront fear directly rather than avoid or suppress it. In doing so, we replace the paralyzing tension of uncertainty with a sober awareness of what might occur and, crucially, how we would respond. When practiced mindfully, negative visualization does not lead to pessimism. Instead, it fosters a stance of preparedness and equanimity. By envisioning setbacks in detail, we dissolve the illusion that challenges come as unanticipated blows. Each scenario, once rehearsed mentally, becomes familiar terrain rather than foreign territory. This familiarity eradicates the instinctive shock that often accompanies unexpected adversity, allowing us to approach real-life difficulties with composure. As our minds become accustomed to the idea that life's forward path may twist or turn, our confidence in navigating those bends strengthens. The technique also reveals a deeper insight. Much of our suffering stems from the gap between expectation and reality. When expectations remain unexamined, we become vulnerable to disappointment. Negative visualization bridges that gap by aligning our anticipations with a broader spectrum of possible outcomes. In confronting loss, rejection, or failure ahead of time, we shrink the difference between what we hope for and what may transpire. This alignment diffuses the emotional intensity of adverse events, rendering them more manageable when they unfold. Moreover, negative visualization sharpens our appreciation for the present moment. By imagining the absence of people, circumstances, or comforts we currently enjoy, we foster gratitude and reduce the impulse to take blessings for granted. This heightened gratitude further undermines the power of fear, for when we recognize the fragility and preciousness of what we have, we become resolute in cherishing and defending it. Through regular application, negative visualization becomes a stabilizing force. It trains us to regard obstacles not as threats that undermine our worth, but as inevitable facets of life that we can bear with dignity. In this way, the practice transforms fear from an adversary into an instructor, teaching us resilience, sharpening our perspective, and anchoring our confidence in the steadfast knowledge that, however events unfold, we possess the inner strength to meet them with calm and clarity. 3. Practicing the Stoic pause. At the heart of Stoic resilience lies a deceptively simple yet transformative technique, pausing between the impulse to react and the action itself. This intentional gap grants us the power to break free from automatic, emotion-driven responses and instead choose actions rooted in reason. Every time we sense the first flicker of agitation, be it a sudden jolt of anger at criticism, a surge of self-doubt when faced with a challenge, or an instinctive defensive thought in response to judgment, we are presented with an opportunity. In that fleeting moment, before words leave our lips or decisions harden into behavior, we can exercise mastery over our minds. The pause begins with heightened awareness. By training ourselves to notice the subtle cues of rising tension, tightening muscles, a quickening heartbeat, or the emergence of spiraling thoughts, we interrupt the reflexive chain that leads to regretful actions. Rather than giving in to the immediate urge to lash out or withdraw, we draw our attention inward. We observe the sensation of our breath, the ebb and flow of our heartbeat, and the tone of our internal dialogue without judgment. This mindful witnessing creates a calm center, a still point that grants clarity in the face of turmoil. Within this silence, we engage our rational capacities. We ask ourselves two fundamental questions. Is this within my control? And what would a wise response look like? By reframing the situation through these queries, we disentangle ourselves from unhelpful emotional narratives and reconnect with the Stoic dichotomy of control. In doing so, we shift focus from external provocations to our capacity for deliberate choice. As this practice deepens, the space between stimulus and response lengthens. Our habitual reaction patterns lose their grip, replaced by intentional, value-aligned actions. We begin to realize that confidence is not the absence of difficult emotions, but the ability to navigate them with composure. Each successful exercise of the Stoic pause reinforces our self-trust, demonstrating that we can face discomfort and still uphold our principles. Over time, the pause weaves itself into the fabric of our character. It transforms everyday interactions, confrontations at work, challenging conversations with loved ones, or moments of personal doubt, into arenas of self-mastery. Instead of being buffeted by external currents, we learn to steer our inner vessel with poise. Our speech becomes measured, our decisions more thoughtful, and our presence more commanding. In this way, the Stoic pause not only tempers our immediate reactions, but also cultivates a lasting wellspring of confidence. grounded in the unwavering knowledge that wherever life's trials emerge, we possess the inner calm to meet them with rationality and courage. 4. Cultivating an internal locus of evaluation. A central pillar of Stoic confidence lies in shifting from seeking approval externally to grounding our self-worth within our moral compass. When we anchor evaluation internally, we relinquish the volatile pursuit of others' praise and instead measure ourselves against enduring principles. This internal locus of evaluation emerges from a commitment to live by virtues, qualities such as honesty, diligence, kindness, and resilience that transcend transient circumstances and external judgments. To cultivate this stance, we begin by naming our core values with precision, by articulating the principles that resonate most deeply, whether it is the steadfast pursuit of integrity, the compassionate treatment of others, or the disciplined perseverance in the face of difficulty. We establish the yardstick against which all our actions will later be measured. This act of definition brings clarity. Rather than wandering toward recognition or fearing criticism, we find direction in our standards. As the day unfolds, mindful self-reflection becomes our compass. At moments of decision or interaction, we pause to ask, does this choice align with the person I intend to be? This question steers away from reflexive behaviors aimed at external validation and toward deliberate actions that reflect internal goals. When challenges arise, such as feeling overlooked at work or experiencing social pressure to conform, this internal inquiry guides us back to our chosen principles, serving as a stabilizing force against the ebb and flow of approval and disapproval. At day's end, a private reckoning reinforces the practice. We review our actions, not to dwell on faults, but to observe where we honored our values and where we fell short. This reflective habit shifts growth from an external barometer of success to an inner dialogue of progress. Every step taken by our virtues, however small, becomes a victory, independent of outside recognition. Conversely, actions that deviate from our ideals reveal opportunities for refined commitment rather than sources of shame. Over time, this persistent orientation toward inner standards reshapes our self-image. Confidence, once tethered to applause or praise, becomes self-sustaining. It is born from the conviction that we have acted with integrity, regardless of responses beyond our control. In this way, external outcomes, be they accolades or setbacks, no longer dictate our sense of worth. Our assurance is rooted in the unshakable knowledge that we live in harmony with the principles we esteem most. 5. Journaling as a tool for self-mastery. Journaling serves as a mirror to our inner world, reflecting the subtle shifts in our thoughts, emotions, and intentions. Through the deliberate act of putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, we externalize the internal dialogues that often shape our confidence without our conscious awareness. In the morning, this practice begins as a setting of intent, a gentle declaration of how we wish to engage with the day's unfolding events. By articulating the virtues we aspire to embody, courage in the face of uncertainty, temperance when confronted with excess, wisdom in decision-making, and justice in our interactions, we provide a clear direction for our actions. This early affirmation grounds our mindset, guiding each moment toward alignment with our highest principles. As the day progresses, the notes we record become a living journal of growth. We chronicle moments of hesitation or doubt alongside instances of resolve and composure, not to dwell on shortcomings, but to illuminate patterns of thought and behavior. This continuous self-observation transforms journaling into a tool of self-mastery. With each entry, we see where we have responded to challenges impulsively and where we have enacted the Stoic pause, reinforcing the mental pathways that lead to intentional choice rather than reactive habit. In the evening, reflection deepens this practice. Reviewing the day's entries allows us to examine our responses to events, identifying where our actions aligned with our declared intentions and where they diverged. This honest appraisal need not carry judgment. Instead, it invites a compassionate understanding of our shared human struggle. Through consistent reflection, we begin to recognize recurring obstacles, common thought patterns, or emotional triggers that sap our confidence. With these insights, we craft strategies for improvement, iterating on our approach with each new journal entry. Beyond intention and reflection, journaling becomes a space to cultivate affirmations of resilience. By recording statements of self-encouragement, reminders of past triumphs over fear, or acknowledgments of progress made in mastering impulses, we gradually reshape the narrative we hold about our capabilities. These written affirmations, revisited over time, serve as tangible evidence of our growing strength and reinforce the belief that confidence is a skill honed through deliberate practice. Ultimately, journaling intertwines awareness with action, creating a feedback loop in which reflection informs intention, intention guides behavior, and behavior fuels further reflection. In this cycle, self-doubt loses its foothold, eroded by the clarity and purpose that emerge when we consistently observe and direct our internal world. As the journal fills with honest entries, it stands as a testament to our journey, a testament that each choice, each reflection, and each declaration of virtue contributes to the unbreakable foundation of confidence we build from within. 6. Embracing voluntary discomfort. Stoic practitioners recognize that confidence is forged in the crucible of challenge, and that by willingly stepping into moments of controlled hardship, we expand the boundaries of what we believe ourselves capable of enduring. Rather than shrinking from discomfort, we learn to approach it as a deliberate opportunity for growth, each self-imposed trial serving as a lesson in resilience and self-command. This embrace of voluntary discomfort shifts our relationship with suffering. It becomes not an enemy to escape, but a companion that guides us toward greater fortitude. When we elect to experience mild privations, whether through limiting creature comforts, simplifying our daily routines, or confronting physical unease, we cultivate a mindset that refuses to be defined by the presence of ease alone. In these self-chosen trials, every pang of discomfort becomes a reminder of our agency. We choose to endure, and in doing so, we reassert control over our reactions. The mind, once prone to balk at uncertainty, learns to meet discomfort without surrendering to panic or avoidance. This practice also clarifies the distinction between necessary and superfluous desires. As we inhabit discomfort on our terms, we perceive the fragility of comforts often taken for granted. In this clarity, confidence deepens. We understand that our sense of security rests not in external conditions, but in our capacity to remain steadfast when conditions shift. We no longer tether our self-assurance to unbroken comfort, but to the steadfast conviction that we can face disturbance without losing composure. Over time, voluntary hardships accumulate into an invisible reservoir of resilience. The discomfort that once loomed as formidable gradually reveals itself to be a transient state, manageable, instructive, and ultimately inconsequential in the face of our inner strength. This awareness rewires our default response to unforeseen adversity. Rather than recoiling in fear, we recall our prior voluntary trials and recognize that we have both chosen and surmounted discomfort before. As with any Stoic discipline, the goal is not endurance for its own sake, but the transformation of perception. By reframing discomfort as a chosen exercise in self-mastery, we dismantle the fear that ordinarily accompanies it. In this way, every voluntary trial serves as a rehearsal for life's unpredictable challenges, instilling the unshakable confidence that no matter what circumstances arise, we possess the will and the wisdom to endure and emerge stronger. 7. Using self-talk and cognitive reframing. Our inner narrative shapes the contours of our confidence more powerfully than any external circumstance. Within Stoicism, self-talk becomes a deliberate tool for transforming habitual fear-driven thoughts into reasoned reflections that reinforce our resilience. The first step in this mental alchemy is noticing the subtle chorus of inner judgments that arise in moments of challenge. Those fleeting thoughts that whisper doubt, magnify potential embarrassment, or predict negative outcomes. By cultivating a mindful awareness of this inner dialogue, we create a space in which we can observe rather than be swept away by it. Once we have trained ourselves to hear these internal voices, we subject them to the Stoic practice of rational examination. Each negative thought becomes a hypothesis to test. We ask, what evidence supports this claim? And is this belief rooted in fact or fear? In doing so, we dismantle the power of ungrounded anxieties, revealing them as mere constructs of the mind rather than immutable truths. This process of questioning not only undermines the validity of self-doubt, but also strengthens our confidence in distinguishing between useful and unhelpful thoughts. With this clarity, we move to the next stage, reframing. Here, we consciously replace distorted narratives with balanced reflections that align with our values and past experiences of success. Instead of telling ourselves that a misstep would confirm our inadequacy, we remind ourselves that each attempt, regardless of outcome, is an opportunity for learning and growth. Rather than predicting rejection, we affirm our capacity to handle disappointment with composure. Over time, these constructive reframes become so habitual that they override the default fear-based scripts, establishing a new baseline of self-assurance. This disciplined self-talk integrates seamlessly with the Stoic dichotomy of control. By directing our mental energy toward thoughts and beliefs within our sphere of influence, we avoid ruminating on hypothetical scenarios beyond our power. We train our minds to dwell on proactive reflections, how we can act virtuously, prepare thoroughly, and remain steadfast, rather than on uncontrollable outcomes. In this way, each act of reframing reinforces our confidence not in external validation, but in our capacity for reasoned choice and perseverance. Through daily practice, self-talk evolves from a passive echo into an active ally, guiding us toward measured responses and bolstering a resilient mindset. As we internalize rational reframing, we transform our inner discourse from a source of destabilizing doubt into a steady current of encouragement, ensuring that our confidence is rooted in the enduring strength of our reason. 8. Anchoring confidence in virtue, not outcome. At the core of Stoic philosophy lies the conviction that virtue alone constitutes the highest good, and that external achievements, titles, accolades, or material success play no part in determining true worth. When we root our confidence in the pursuit and practice of virtue, we liberate ourselves from the uncertainty of outcomes beyond our control. Rather than tethering self-esteem to the unpredictable tides of fortune, we anchor it in the certainty of our intentions and efforts. This shift begins by redefining our objectives. Instead of aiming to secure praise, win approval, or accumulate rewards, we set our sights on aligning every action with our deepest values: honesty in speech, courage in adversity, temperance in indulgence, and justice toward others. In doing so, we transform goals into processes of moral engagement. Our focus moves away from measuring success by external markers and toward a continuous commitment to ethical living. By embracing virtue as the yardstick of achievement, we embrace a form of confidence that is intrinsically stable. External failures no longer signal personal inadequacy. They simply indicate that an outcome diverged from our hopes. Yet, even in such moments, our self-assessment remains grounded in the effort we invested and the integrity with which we acted. This perspective inoculates us against the highs and lows of fortune, cultivating an equanimity that endures regardless of circumstance. Moreover, anchoring confidence in virtue reframes setbacks as opportunities for moral growth. When an endeavor falls short, we examine not the result alone, but the clarity of our intent, the consistency of our effort, and the lessons gleaned from the experience. This reflective stance shifts our emotional response. Disappointment is tempered by understanding, and regret is softened by the knowledge that our character remains untarnished. Over time, this unwavering orientation toward virtue crystallizes into a self-reinforcing cycle. The more we prioritize ethical engagement, the more our confidence draws nourishment from our principled actions. As we act by our moral compass, we reinforce the belief that we possess the will and wisdom to navigate any challenge with integrity. External commendations may come and go, but the confidence derived from virtuous living grows steadily, rooted in the knowledge that our worth arises from what we can control, the quality of our character, and the rectitude of our choices. Anchoring confidence in virtue thus transforms it from a transient emotion into a steadfast state of being, one that remains unshaken by the unpredictable currents of life and endures as a testament to our unwavering commitment to what truly matters. 9. Real-world applications and examples. Stoicism's teachings find their fullest meaning when woven into the everyday fabric of our lives, not as abstract philosophy, but as living practices. In the realm of communication, the Stoic principles guide us to speak with clarity and restraint, transforming potentially fraught conversations into opportunities for honest connection. Rather than reacting defensively to criticism or immediately striving to persuade, we apply the Stoic pause and reflective self-talk to ensure our words align with our core values. This disciplined approach zaps the instinct to overspeak or retreat, replacing it with measured expression rooted in purpose rather than impulse. In professional settings, Stoicism reframes challenges as occasions for inner growth. Deadlines that once produced anxiety become prompts for preparation and focus. Obstacles at work, shifting priorities, or unexpected setbacks are met not with frustration, but with a calm analysis of what lies within our influence and a resolute plan of action. By applying the dichotomy of control, we channel our mental energy toward constructive solutions instead of dwelling on variables beyond our command. This shift not only enhances productivity, but also cements a self-trust that proves invaluable when future pressures arise. Social dynamics benefit equally from Stoic insight. In group interactions, the practice of an internal locus of evaluation frees us from the ebb and flow of peer approval. We engage authentically, guided by our standards rather than the unpredictable moods of the crowd. When faced with diverging opinions, the Stoic pause grants us the space to listen with openness and respond with empathy, rather than reacting defensively or craving affirmation. This integrity-driven engagement elevates our relationships, fostering respect and deepening mutual understanding. Even in moments of personal aspiration, ambitions of creative expression, athletic endeavor, or skill acquisition, Stoic discipline serves as a silent companion. We set virtuous intentions, define clear actions, and journal our progress, allowing each incremental step to strengthen our resolve. When obstacles surface, plateaus in performance, lapses in motivation, or external discouragement, we lean on our cultivated resilience. The practice of voluntary discomfort, whether in rigorous training or deliberate focus, reminds us that growth thrives at the edge of ease. Ultimately, the real-world application of Stoicism transforms every sphere of life, home, work, relationships, and personal pursuits, into a canvas for self-mastery. By consistently applying the dichotomy of control, the Stoic pause, internal evaluation, and disciplined self-talk, we build an unshakable confidence that does not depend on transient successes or external validation. Instead, our assurance grows from each deliberate choice to live virtuously, to respond thoughtfully, and to embrace challenges as the very catalysts of our inner strength. 10. Daily Stoic confidence ritual. Establishing a daily routine of Stoic practices transforms these individual techniques into a cohesive path toward enduring confidence. In the quiet moments of dawn, pause to center yourself before the day begins. Begin by reflecting on a brief Stoic maxim, a distilled kernel of wisdom that speaks to the power of focusing on what lies within your control. As you consider this phrase, allow its meaning to settle into your mind, creating a foundation of intention that will guide your thoughts and actions. Moving into the day, cultivate a habit of mindful recognition whenever tension or doubt arises. Notice the subtle shift in your inner state, your breath shortening, your mind racing with apprehension, and choose deliberately to engage the pause. In this interval of awareness, remind yourself of the Stoic principle that emotions emerge from judgments of external events, and affirm your commitment to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This moment of conscious choice serves as a daily rehearsal in mastering the interplay between stimulus and response. At midday, when energies may waver and distractions intrude, take a few moments to recalibrate. In stillness, revisit the distinction between control and surrender. Acknowledge any aspects of the morning that slipped beyond your influence, and let go of lingering regrets. Then renew your focus on the virtues you have chosen to embody: courage in facing challenges, temperance in resisting excess, and wisdom in making decisions. By realigning your intentions with these virtues, you replenish your inner reserves and renew the steadfast confidence that carries you through the rest of the day. As evening approaches and the world quiets, dedicate time to deliberate reflection. In a private journal, capture the day's unfolding, not as a record of successes and failures, but as an account of your engagement with Stoic principles. Observe how often you distinguished what was within your power, how frequently you exercised the pause before reacting, and the moments you reaffirmed your commitment to virtue. These entries form a dialogue with yourself, illuminating progress made and revealing areas where further growth is possible. Through this cyclical anchor, morning contemplation, mindful presence, midday realignment, and evening reflection, you weave Stoicism into the fabric of daily life. Each element supports the next, creating a self-reinforcing pattern that cultivates resilience, sharpens awareness, and deepens self-trust. Over time, what begins as a conscious routine evolves into an instinctive orientation. You awaken confident in your capacity to govern your mind, you navigate challenges with composure, and you rest assured that through reflection and intentional action, your confidence grows ever firmer. As we close this journey through Stoic wisdom, take a moment to honor how far you've come. You've explored the bedrock of control, trained your mind to meet fear directly, forged resilience through discomfort, and cultivated a steadfast trust in your reason. For that dedication, be proud. Your commitment to growth is itself a testament to the Stoic virtues you've embraced. Gratitude is at the heart of Stoic practice. Thank yourself for investing in your inner world, and thank those who support your path, whether mentors, friends, or the Stoic thinkers whose words continue to guide us centuries later. By acknowledging these connections, you strengthen the web of purpose and community that underpins your confidence. If you found value in these teachings, help others discover this toolkit. Like this video to show your support, share it with someone who could use a confidence boost, and subscribe to join our Stoic community. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video filled with practical strategies for personal mastery. Thanks for watching, and remember, every moment you choose virtue and deliberate action, you reinforce the unshakable foundation of your confidence. Keep practicing, stay curious, and step boldly into each new challenge.